Hey everyone, this is Khan, and this is the third part of my Angular e-commerce mega series tutorials on YouTube, in which we're going to build this nice looking e-commerce store in Angular from scratch. So in this part, this is the third part, and we're going to introduce the NGRX Signal Store, which we're going to use as our main state management solution for this app. So firstly, we're going to start with the intro to the NGRX Signal Store. What is it? How do we use it? And then we're going to refactor our products grid to the Signal Store. Now remember, we did the products grid in the previous section, but we only implemented things at the component level. Now we're going to show how we can actually do all of that stuff, including the reactivity of this with using the NGRX Signal Store. And thirdly, we are going to continue the products wishlist feature, which is a major feature. And we're going to do all of that in the NGRX Signal Store, so you can get a nice example of how to actually create a full feature using that. Okay, so lots to cover in this tutorial. Let's get started. And of course, just as before, the code, the final code is available on my shop with the link you are going to find in the description. So this helps sustain the channel and will help me bring you more quality tutorials like this one. Okay, so let's first start with what is the NGRX Signal Store. So the NGRX Signal Store is a state management package provided to us by the NGRX team. Now you might know about the NGRX Global Store or maybe the Component Store. Now these were other packages by the NGRX team as well. But when the Signals APIs were introduced in Angular, we needed a package which tightly integrated with the Signals API, and it was built around Signals, all right? So the NGRX team brought us NGRX Signal Store, and it is a really nice lightweight store based on Signals. Now remember, it is lightweight, so it is not that Redux pattern, which is a bit difficult to implement. It is lightweight, it is very easy to implement, even for small, medium, or even for complex apps, okay? So what are the parts to the NGRX Signal Store? Where the NGRX Signal Store can be defined with a state using with state. Then it can have a section on with computed, where it can define or declare all of the state which is derived from the other state. And then we have methods, which are functions that you can use to modify that state or do other functionality. And then we have with hooks, okay? With hooks is sort of the lifecycle hooks. They sort of correspond to the lifecycle hooks that a component has, okay? So this was a basic introduction. So now let's go on and start implementing and creating our first NGRX Signal Store. Okay, so this is where we left off in the previous part, where we built up the products grid. But if you look at the code here and you go in your products grid here, you're going to see that we have all of the data and the computed and even the categories inside of your component. So it is all local to the component, but we want to actually share this data with other components as well. So one of the best ways to do that is to actually create a store for that purpose. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a store, and it is going to be a common global store, which is going to be accessible anywhere in our app in any component, right? So we are going to create in our app folder, we are going to create a new file, and we're going to call this as e-commerce store.ts here like this. And of course, we want to use the NGRX store package. So it's a third-party dependency. So we need to add it first to our project. We are going to do ng-add at NGRX/signals. So it's going to find out the relevant package here, and we're going to just install it here like great. It's installed. Now we can continue and use it in our project. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to declare a type for our e-commerce store. So we're going to just say e-commerce state. This type is going to have products. Okay, let me turn off the cursor tab because it's going to really disrupt our coding here. So we are going to have the list of products, and you can also go back to the products grid and see what data we actually want to store here. So we want to have the products data because we want to share that data. Then we also want to have the currently selected category in our store. So we are going to do category, and it's going to be a string like this. Great, and that's just about it. We can do export constant, and we are going to say e-commerce store, and we will use the signal store function here like this. And let's import signal store from NGRX signals here like this. Okay, so we have signal stores here, and then this signal store is going to get all of the functionality that we have related to the store. So we are going to do with state, and then here we need to give our initial state that the e-commerce store is going to have. Okay, so in our products, then we are going to just copy our products here, and let's copy this whole products, just the data here like this. Okay, then next we are going to do category, So initial category we are going to keep as all here like this, okay? This is the minimum that you need to actually declare your or define your a new e-commerce store. And that's it. So it's really, really simple. But as you see that we also need to have with computed, okay? Because we have some computed state as well. So in with computed, we are going to give a store here and it's going to have our computeds here stored here. So it sort of facilitates putting things in your specific section so that we clearly know where our computers are, where our main state is. So in our case, our computer is the filtered products, which is the main computed here. So we are going to add filtered products here, and this is going to be a computed, and the rest of the stuff is going to be really similar to this. So we are just going to copy this here, okay? And instead of store.category, we are going to just use the category that we have in the store here like this. We're going to destruct this, and then we're just going to use this. Similarly, for the products, we're going to use the products here like this. Great. So we have our first computed here as well. And now we can actually remove these things, but we'll come to this in a bit about how to actually refactor this. Okay, so we have our state and our computed shifted to our e-commerce store. But how do we actually access this in our component that we need right now? And for that, we need to introduce the concept of dependency injection in Angular. Now, dependency injection in Angular is a big topic. It is basically a design pattern to help reuse logic or code in Angular apps, okay? So you can actually create different services or tokens to share in different areas of your app. And then Angular handles the rest of the stuff where it plugs in that code wherever you need it in your component. So how we do that in Angular is by using the inject function here, as you see here. You can inject a service, you can inject a token. In our case, we can inject our Signal Store. And then there's also another concept that we need to know about it, and that is that stores or services can be provided at different levels of the application, okay? So in our case, we need to have a global store because we need to provide it at the root level of the application, okay? But theoretically, the store can be, or any service can actually be provided at any level. So you can also provide it at a component level, and we then call this the local component state or local component store. Similarly, for component 2, you can see, so every component can have its own different states. And then when you make copies of that component, it's going to actually duplicate the state along with it or the store that is provided with it as well. But in this case, in our case, in the e-commerce store, we want to keep the store as global so that we can share the data across different components. So we are going to keep it as a global store. Now for the Signal Store to provide it at a global level is very simple. It has the first parameter here, which we can actually give as provided in root here like this. And this is similar for your services as well, okay? So if for any services that you create, the default in Angular is that they are provided in the root. That means that there's only one instance of it across your applications that can be shared. And now we are all ready to use the inject function in any component that we want to use this e-commerce store. So we're going to go to our products grid and let's see how simple it is to actually do that. So we're going to do store here like this, and we're going to do inject using from Angular core, and we will do e-commerce store here like this, okay? So now we have the access to the store and we can use all of its data. All of its state that we have defined is going to be accessible as a signal. So whenever it changes, we can actually listen to the changes really easily, all right? Then we can actually just fix the errors here. So we have filtered products here. Instead of filter products, we can do store.filter products here. Similarly here, we can do store.filtered products. And similarly, we don't have anything reference to the category, so that solves our issue for now. And now you can see that our app will have all of the products displayed here, but it will display all of the products because we don't have the category being stored in the store as yet or being synced with the input that we have here. Okay, so actually what we want to do is that we want to send the category that we receive from the input to the component to the store so that it can then update the filtered products to actually give us the product that is being filtered here. So to do that, we need to update the state in an NGRX Signal Store. And we use the patch state function basically to update any state of the store, and it can only be updated through its own method in the with method section. So that provides us a sort of a protection against anybody else but the store changing the state itself. Okay, so there are two types of this. So first is a simple change. So we can have a simple function, but then we also have a reactive function. There are two types of them. So there's a signal method and there is an RX method. Now both of these can also take in signals instead of the value. And that means that whenever the signal changes, it's going to call the function again. All right. So let's see this in action. You can see here that we have our category here. Let's create a method here first. So we're going to do with computed. We're going to do with method here like this. Okay. The notation is going to be the same. So we have reference to the store initially, and then we can specify our methods here like this. So the first method we're going to specify here is going to be set category, right? So we're going to say that it is a simple function, and this function is just going to do patch state from NGRX signal, and also this is going to take category string here in the input, and it's going to do what is going to patch is going to patch the store, and then the second parameter we are going to send in the category here like this. So it's going to update the category state here like this. Now, patch state means that it's not going to replace the whole state. It's going to just update the properties that we are giving here. So if you do it like this, it's not going to still work. Let's try it out. So we're going to do set category, and then we're going to call this set category. Let's say in your constructor, you're going to call this set category. So we're going to do this dot store dot set category, and we're going to do this dot category, the value of the category here. And once we save this, you're still going to see that our products actually don't get filtered. And that is because this function is not reactive. So this is a simple function. This is simple for cases where you want to update stuff one time. But for reactive changes, where we want to sync different values, so we want to sync this category at all times with the category inside of the store, we use the signal method or the RX method, as I said before. So in this case, it is very simple to use the signal method. So we are going to switch this set category to actually be a signal method. Okay. And we're going to take in a string here as an input. And we are just going to do patch state. And in patch state, we are going to do essentially the same thing. But now if you're going to do set category, we can also send in the signal itself here like this. That means that any changes to this are going to get automatically propagated to our store. You'll see that when we change our category through the root URL, it's going to update the store and it's going to update our products as well. So that means the whole flow is working really nicely. If you look closely at our code here, you're going to see that we have a unidirectional data flow here. So the unidirectional data flow is where you have your logic or your data and all of your functionality in your store, but the component then only becomes a way to display the data. So it becomes a dumb component. So basically it gets all of its data or state from your store, and then it calls functions to update the store. So if you look at your component now, you can see that in the component, we're actually not doing anything. There's no functionality. But as you can see, we have the store and we have the category input. So we're getting the input and we are sending that input to the store. Then we are getting the output through the store here, and we're just showing this on the UI. And this makes it really easy for us to test in the future, because we don't need to test the components that much. We only need to test the functionality of the store itself. Also, the unidirectional data flow allows us to separate the business logic, and so it really helps us to organize and reason about our application structure and our application's flow. There are less complications and there are less opportunities to actually mix up different things, mix up different functionalities, and have weird errors and bugs when your application actually goes into production. Okay, before we move on to the next section where we build a product wishlist feature completely with the NGRX Signal Store and our current structure, I just want to provide a quick reminder that my learning platform in which I teach Angular is live now on zoebkhan.com on my own website. And just a quick reminder that this whole tutorial, the final code for this e-commerce tutorial, is available in the code shop section on my website here. And if you go down here, there are all of other codes as well. But if you go down here, you're going to get the Angular Modern Ecommerce as a whole package here, zipped package here, and contains all of these features that you have, only the front end for now. So if you get it right now, you're also going to get all the future versions, and this price might increase in the future. So be sure to check this out if you're interested. It also has the benefit of actually supporting the channel so that I can keep bringing you more quality tutorials like this one. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so let's now start to build the product wish list. So if I show you the final functionality here, it will be something like this. So you're going to add things to the wish list. And then when you click on the wish list, you're going to go in the wish list where you'll have a nice looking card. And you can clear the wish list if you'd like to. You can go back, you can add it to again, and then you can come back to, you can delete an item from the wish list as well. So all of this functionality of adding to the wish list and removing it and then showing this here, we are going to cover this in this video. So let's get on with it. This is our current version, and these are the steps that you need to follow to create this feature. Okay, so first let's add the wishlist state here. So we are going to go back to our e-commerce store here, and in our state, we are going to add another item here. We are going to call this wishlist items. And these are basically also going to be just products, an array of products here like this. Okay, that is all the state that we need to add. We're going to also add an initial state here of wishlist items. And initially, they will be empty here like this. Okay, next we want to add the add to wishlist method. So we are going to add a method here so that we can call it from our front end. And we are going to call this as add to wishlist. And it's going to take in as a product. We just need to add this product or push this product to this array wishlist items and then patch the state. But in Signal Store and generally in Signals as well, you need to be careful of one thing, and that is whenever you make changes to the state, especially if they are objects, you need to make sure that they are immutable updates, all right? Mutable updates means that you are actually going to change the same object, the same structure, and you're just going to make changes to it. Immutable changes are that you actually make copies of the original data and then you make changes to that so that JavaScript actually knows that this is a new object, and it actually helps Signals to propagate the change correctly on the UI. So in our case, we are going to use Immer.js, which is a popular library, which actually helps you to create immutable updates, but in a mutable way. So let me show you what that actually means. So first we are going to just install this. So we are going to do npm install Immer here in our project here like this. So let's do npm install Immer here. Okay, Immer is installed here. And then we can actually use the produce function from Immer. So we are going to do import produce from Immer. Okay, so this function basically produces an immutable object that we want. So we are going to create an updated wishlist items, and we're going to use the produce function. And in this produce, the first one would be actually our wishlist item. So we are going to do store.wishlist items, the value here, the current value. And then here, then we can get a function in which we can actually change this. So we get a draft. This will be the draft that we are updating. And what we want to do is we want to check a bit as well. So we want to check the draft, whether it has the product or not. So whether there is a wishlist item there or not. So we're going to do .id is equals to product.id here like this. So we're also going to add a type here so that it becomes easier for it to actually infer the type. If the draft.find is equals to that, then we're going to do draft.push. So we're going to push our new item here like this. So then this updated wishlist item is basically going to contain the new product. So then we are just going to do patch state here like this and the store, and we are going to give wishlist items here, and we're going to give updated wishlist items here. So this ensures that all of our changes are going to get propagated on the UI. Okay, next we also want to give a nice toaster. So we're going to install the hot toast library. Okay, so I'm going to go in ngexpert hot toast, the library here, ngexpert hot toast. And I'm just going to do ng add ngexpert hot toast here. It's found the right version. Okay, so it has added it to the app.config here like this. As you can see, it had provide hot toast config here like this, but it has provided it in the router. So we don't need to provide it in the router. We need to provide it here outside. And we also need to do in your styles.file, where has it added the code. We need to actually import this at the top of the file, because otherwise it's going to give an issue. So we're going to import this here. All right, great. And we would also like to add some config options here. So I want to add a style margin top of 70 pixels so that it appears a bit down. And I want to add some stacking to this. That's like NGRX Signal. And I want to reduce the duration to about 1 second. Right, so let's save this. And now we want to go to our e-commerce store and we want to use the toaster here. We can just directly use the hot toast service as well, but we can actually create an sort of a wrapper on top of this as well. So let's create a wrapper on top of this. We're going to create a new service here. We're going to do ngg service, and it will be on our services folder, and we're going to call this toaster here like this. Okay, so we have our first service here in toaster.ts, and you can see again that it's provided in root. That means it's going to be available throughout our application. So what we want is we want to just add some simple functions here. First, we are going to inject our toasters from the hot toast service. So we're going to do inject and we're going to do hot toast service here. Okay. And then we're going to create some easy to use functions here. One would be success. It's going to take in a string here. And it's going to call this dot toaster service, this dot toaster dot success, and it's going to give a message here like this. And then we have an error here, message, and we'll have toaster dot error here like this. And that's it. So we have these two functions which we're going to use. So now we can actually just inject this here as well. So you can actually inject any service or any token that you want here using dependency injection. And in your with method section here, we can give your toaster here and we can inject the toaster here like this. And we're going to inject the toaster service here like this. Okay. So then after add to wishlist at the end, after patching, we can just do toaster dot success and we can see that product added to the wishlist. So our add to wishlist, at least functionality, is complete in the store. But how do we actually show it on the UI? In your final app, you're going to see this a button here, hard button here, in which we use to add to the wishlist or toggle adding to the wishlist. So let's add that button here first. It's called the toggle wishlist button. Okay, so we're going to go back in your product card, which is your reusable card. We're just going to add right after the image here. We're going to add a button here, and this will have a couple of classes. So we're going to add, first of all, an absolute, because it's going to be on top of everything and on the top right corner. And then we're going to give it a Z. We're going to give it a top 3. We're going to give it a right 3. And it's going to be 10 width and height. It will have rounded full. And also it will have a background of white, a border of 0, a shadow to make it look good. Add some more classes to it. So we're going to make this flex and item center because we want to center it. Justify center as well. And then let's make this cursor pointer and transition all. So this is going to add a bit of animation to it so that it pops up when we actually hover over it. So this transition will have duration 200 milliseconds. And when we hover over it, we want to scale it to a 10% more and also give a better shadow to it. Okay, bigger shadow to it. So it's going to be shadow LG here. Okay, so these are all the styles that we require for this. And in this one, this is also going to be a matte icon button. Okay, and within that we will have an icon of a heart, or rather favorite. Okay, so let's save this, and in your click button here we are going to toggle wishlist, and we're going to give a product here like this. Okay, so let's just add this here. So we can do toggle wishlist here and we'll have a product here. And of course we need to reference the store. So we are going to do store, inject the store here as well, e-commerce store here. And in the toggle wishlist, we are going to first check whether this is in wishlist. We have toggle wishlist. We are going to check whether this is in wishlist or not. So we can actually check it directly here as well, but let's create a computed here for the purpose. So we're going to do is in wishlist. This will be a computed, and this is going to check this dot store wishlist items dot find p is equals to product id, this dot product dot id. Okay, so if the product is in your wishlist items, then that means that this product is basically in the wishlist items, and so we can actually just use this is in wishlist computed here, which is always going to be updated to the wishlist items as it is going to change. Okay, and also we will also see another use for this is in wishlist when we want to style this. So if this is in wishlist, we are going to remove this and we're going to add functionality for that in a bit. But if it is not, then we're going to add this to the wishlist. So we're going to do store.add to wishlist and we're just going to give product here like this. Okay, so toggle wishlist and this functionality is done. And if you see, the buttons are all stacked here, and that is because we don't have relative marked on this card here. So we're going to also do relative here so that the placing is relative to this. And then now you can see that we have this nice icon here. And when we click on this, it says product added to wishlist. So our store function is working fine. But you can see that we don't see anything else. So we need to add the state here as well so that we know that the wishlist item has been added to the wishlist. So the next thing we need to do is wishlist count in the header. We go in our header here like this, and you can see we have our header actions section here, and we can, in your favorite here, we can actually first import mat badge here from Angular material badge, mat badge here, and then we can import the mat badge here as well. And of course, we want to also use the store here. And you can see now that the store is being used really nicely to show all of the global state around the application. Okay, so it's really driving the whole application. So we inject the store here and e-commerce store, and then we are just going to do mat badge. And inside of this mat badge, as a property binding, we are going to give store dot wishlist items dot length here like this. Now we can do it directly here like this as well, or we can create another computed here in your e-commerce store. We can also create a computed here, and we can say wishlist count. So this computed is going to give back your wishlist here. So we're going to do wishlist items and wishlist items dot length. If you go back to your header, in your header actions, you can simply use wishlist count here like this. Okay, and then mat badge hidden. It should be hidden when the store dot wishlist count is equals to 0. But when we click on this, our count, as you can see, is not updating. So that means that there's an issue with our logic somewhere. And if we go to our e-commerce store here, you'll see that we first need to check whether this is in the products or not, in the wishlist items or not. So if it is in the wishlist items, we don't want to push, but if it's not, we actually want to check for if it's not, it does not find it. So this was actually the error. So let's save this and now try this out. And now when you click on this, you're going to see that our products get updated in your wishlist here like this. So our state is getting updated, but we also need to do another thing, and we need to also change the state of this button so that we actually know which of the products are in this state. So we're going to add some conditional styling to it. Okay, so we are going to go in our button here, and we're going to add some conditional class here. So the conditional class here would be something like this, and we can give any expression here, JavaScript expression. So it's going to evaluate that. So what we're going to do is we are going to check for the is in wishlist here, which we declared here below here. So if this product is in wishlist, we're going to give it a class of text red 500, okay, with the important modifier, and otherwise we're going to give it text gray 400 with the same modifier. So let's see how this looks now. So now you can see that since our 4 items were in the wish list, you can see these are marked as hard, as colored hard. Otherwise, all of the others are gray here like this. So let's refresh this and let's try this again. And you can see now this turns into this nice heart shaped here like this. But you can see in the original one, there was also a bit of a difference. So the heart shape was also different. The icon was also different. So let's also add some conditional logic to the icon here as well. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to do, if it's in wish list, then we're going to do favorite here like this, which is a normal one. But if it's not, then it's going to give a favorite border. So this means that is going to be an outlined icon here like this. And once you click on this, you can see that it's filled in with the red color. So this looks really nice. And now we need to add the last bit of functionality. We need to also remove it when we actually click on it again. So we are going to go in our e-commerce store once more, and we are going to do in our add to wishlist here, we can give another function, remove from wishlist, and this is going to be our product. And it's going to do the same thing, but in this case, we actually don't need to use Immer because there is a very nice way of using filtering, JavaScript filtering, to actually create our deletion functionality. So we are going to do just path state and store, and then we are going to do store.wishlistItems.filter, and we're going to do the product should not be product.id here. And of course, this is going to be our new wishlist item. Okay, so simple enough. And we are also going to then do another toaster.success, which is going to say the product removed from the wishlist. Okay, so we have our remove from wishlist, and now we can go back to the product card and we can add our missing functionality here. This dot store.remove from the wish list, and we can give our product here like this. Okay, let's now check it finally. So we're going to click on this, we get this product, and we can click on this, it's removed from the wish list, and it updates the UI as well accordingly. Great. Okay, so now let's move on and let's create the last part, which is the wishlist page itself. So you're going to see an empty page right now. Okay, so first we're going to start with an container div here, and we're going to give it some classes to add some initial layout. So MX Auto, and we're going to give a maximum width of 1200 pixels here, and we're going to give some padding and some padding horizontally and some padding vertically. All right. Okay, so now within this, the most topmost component will actually be the back button that we have. If you see it in the final product here, you're going to see the back button is something like this. Now this back button has a familiar feel to it, and it is there in a lot of other this as well. So if, for example, you can go to the shopping cart, it's also there in shopping. So it's sort of a reusable button. We want to create a common button for this purpose, all right? The appearance seems to be the same, but the text is different. So what are the strategies that we can actually use to create such flexible components? So the first strategy we can use is we can provide different inputs for configuration. Now we are going to use this method for creating our reusable back button here. And then we are also going to use content projection, but we'll come to that in a bit, which is a sort of a more advanced way to create reusable and flexible components. But in essence, what we do in content projection is that we project the content from the parent of the component so that it is as if it was inside the component. So we're going to see an example of that in the product cart component itself, okay? Great, so let's start with the back button. So we're going to create the back button here. Let's say we do NGGC, and we're going to put this in my components folder. I'm going to say back button, okay? So the back button is then going to have some markup here like this. It will be a button, and we're going to use a matte button and not anchor. So we're going to use a matte button here like this. We're going to use a type of text. Great. So this is your basic button here. But what will we show in its text here? Because we want to make it different in different places. So as I said, the one most common and the easiest way is to actually have configuration input that is going to change the appearance or change the something inside of it. So in simple cases, this method works really well. So we're going to just say that, okay, we can say label is equals to input, and we can give it, in fact, we can just give an initial input of empty here. So it's going to infer it as a string input here. And then in your template, in your text interpolation here, we can just simply use label here like this. Great. But obviously we also need to use this button to route to the back page. So we need to also provide a different route. So what we're going to do is we're going to say navigate to, which will be another input. Okay. And this input is gonna be explicitly string because it might also be undefined. So we're also gonna allow it to be undefined or null. So here then we are gonna use router link, and in the router link, we are going to make this as a property binding syntax and give the navigate to inside of it. It's a signal, so we'll give the value, and if there's no value, so if you don't send anything, then it's gonna navigate to null. So it's not gonna navigate to anything. All right, great. So this is your basic button. We also want to add some styling to it. So we are going to add some flex and item center and gap 1. So this is important because we also want to have a common matte icon inside of it, right beside the text. And this matte icon is going to be arrow underscore back. Let's also import the matte icon here like this. Okay. And so this is going to arrange your icon and the text in a flex item with a gap of 1. All right. Great. And also we want to add a negative margin on the left side to align it on the left side. So we want to also make this as host display block, because otherwise it gives us an issue in displaying, adding margins and such. So we're going to add app back button here, and we can just give our inputs here like this. So we can do label as continue shopping, and then we can give navigate to as products and all here. So if you go to e-commerce here, you can see that we now have a nice little continue shopping button, which goes back to that. Great. And now we can reuse the same button wherever we want it. Okay, so this is nice, but this works because the label itself is only a string. Now, what if you want to allow the user to add some other content inside of the back button as well, instead of just the label? So maybe you want to add another icon at the front of it, or we want to add some image here as well. Okay, it all depends on the kind of customizations options that we want to provide to this back button. So in those cases, content projection works really well because we can actually project any content from outside of it, and we can provide it inside this component declarations here like this. So whatever we provide within this is going to then get projected onto the component, inside of the component at the specific place. Now, where does it get projected? So let's say that we remove this label here like this, and we go in app back button and remove this label here like this. And instead of this label, we just add here the content here like this. Okay. We can also do it here like this. So it's not really important. So now what will happen is that whatever we give in the containing tags for that component is going to get projected onto this placeholder here, all right? And now when you go back and you go in your wish list here, you can see that we have the same appearance of continuous shopping, but we are using the more common way to use components in Angular, which you would have seen if you would have used other third-party components as well in Angular, that you give your main content inside of this declaration of your component here like this, okay? So this is basic content projection for you. Okay, so we have our back button. Let's add some more markup here. So we are going to continue and build up our products list here. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to add a header here. But in order to add a header here, we will also want to know whether we do have any wishlist items or not. So if there are no wishlist items, we don't want to actually show anything here. Otherwise, we want to show the header of my wishlist. So we want to show this header only when we have wishlist content. So let's continue adding that. So first of all, we're going to inject the store because we want to find out whether we do have any wishlist items in our store or not. So we're going to use now the second control flow, which you are going to use a lot in Angular, and that is the if control flow block. So we use the for control flow block to loop through array items to show on the UI, but we're going to use if here to show conditional stuff on the UI. So we can check if store dot wishlist count is greater than 0, then we want to show this. And we also have an else block. We can also have an else if you'd like to, but we're just going to use else here. And in else, we're going to have an empty block here, an empty component that we're going to show. I'm just going to copy paste that here in a bit. But within this, we're going to add our main markup. And so let's add that. So we're going to add a div where we're going to have our heading here. First of all, the main heading, and it will be my wish list. And we're going to style this a bit. So we're going to do text to Excel and font bold. And then on the right side of the screen, we have our indicator to tell us how many wishlist items we have. Okay, so we're going to style that as text gray 500 and text Excel in a smaller font. And then within this, we are going to say store.wishlist count. And after that, we're going to say items here like this. Okay, so this is done, but we need to arrange this in a flex format. So we're going to do flex and justify between and items center, and also add a margin bottom 6 in the bottom here. If we add some products to our wish list, then we're going to see this my wish list here like this and 2 items here like this. Now below that, we just have to reuse our product card. First of all, we're going to create our responsive grid, and we're going to again use the same for block. We're going to say product of store.wishlist items, and we're going to track the product.id. Then within this, we are going to again use the product card here like this, and we're going to give the product here. So it's going to be product, and that is it. We need to import it from our components. We're just going to add this, and now we can see our nice grid here in the same fashion. And it's also responsive. If you'll see here something like this, so you can see that it's also responsive here like this grid. So we have our ready-made grid, and thanks to the reusable product card. But if you see the final output here, we have a delete button here in the card of the wish list. But here we have this add to wishlist toggle button, which we only need on the main icon grid. So how do we handle that? Well, it seems that we need a product card which allows for some customization or some flexibility in showing this icon here. So what we can do is we can take this icon button outside of our product card component, and we can project it from outside. So that way, on the products grid, we can send this to the product card using content projection, and on the wishlist page, we can actually send some other delete button, and we can add our functionality outside of that using content projection. So if we go in our product card now, we just need to simply take out this button, and because it is absolutely positioned, we can actually just take it out. We don't need to position it in any specific place. We are just going to provide it from outside or project it from outside, and it should work as it is. So let's try this out. Let's take it outside, and let's add ng content here. Okay, that means anything that we project from the outside is going to fit in here right below the image here. Let's go back to your products grid. Instead of keeping it like this, we are going to keep it like this, and then within this we can actually do this button here like this. Now you'll notice that we get some errors here because first of all, we haven't imported some things. That's fine. But we're also not getting any reference to the product here. So we need a reference to the product here, and there is also is in wishlist. So there's a functionality associated with this toggle wishlist button component, that we want to encapsulate somewhere. So let's add this into another component, reusable component, so that we can use it in other places as well. And we are going to use it. If you look here in your final component, you can see that once we click on this, you can see that it's also this toggle wishlist button is also there on the detail page here. So we want to use this in multiple places. Let's go ahead and create a new button. So we're going to do NGGC, and in components, we're going to do toggle wishlist button. Okay. And let's just copy this markup there, all right, inside of this. And here then we are going to use app toggle wishlist button here like this. And we are going to send the product inside of this so that it gives us the state of the specific product, whether it is in the wishlist or not. Okay. So let's go inside of it. Let's copy paste this here. Now we can add all of the functionality that we had in our product card inside of this component. So we had injected the store, we had toggle wishlist. So we're just going to copy paste this and we're going to add this here. Okay. Let's just add all the missing imports, something like this. And for the product, we're going to add an input here. So we're going to say product is equals to input, and it's going to be a product here like this. Okay. And also make this a required input. So we're going to say that, okay, this is required. All right. And let's import the matte icon button here like this, and the matte icon here. These are the two things that we need for material, and all of the other things are gonna remain as they are. In fact, I just want to copy this outside in the component itself so that we can apply it on that level. So let's go back to the product card. Let's go back to the product grid and apply this here so we can give this styling here. All right. So let's save this, and now if you see, you should not have any errors here. If you go in product card, we can actually just remove all of these things because we don't need it. And the product card is now more reusable because we can project our button from outside of it. So let's save this. And now if you see on your normal product grid, you can see we have the same functionality as before and it works as before. But if you go on your wishlist page, you're going to see that we won't have anything here at present. So on the wishlist page, we can then send our delete button that we want to use. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to the matte wishlist, and let's also add this markup here. So we want to add this somewhat here in my wishlist, and in this product card, we actually want to add all of the styling is going to remain the same, and there's no need for any class here like this. Okay. And for clicking this, we are going to just to store dot remove from wishlist, and I'm going to give the product that we get from here. Okay, and then in the matte icon, we want to give our delete matte icon. Okay, let's also import the matte icon here because we need it. And also we want to do the matte icon button here because we are using it in our list here. All right, so let's save this and let's see how this looks like. And now let's add some wishlist items. And you can see that it has some issues here. So let's go back and let's see. I think we missed out the positioning. So let's add the same positioning as we had there. So top 3 and right 3 and also Z10. And now you can see we have it on the right position. And if you click on this, it's going to product remove from the wish list here. So we have the different button and we also have different functionality than this button because this toggles the behavior and this uses another behavior. All right. And all from the power of content projection because we can send in a button inside of this while keeping everything as the same. Great. So just one last thing we need to do is we need to add a button at the bottom here to clear the wish list. So let's do that next. Okay. So then below this, we are going to add this grid. We are going to add another div. And within this div, we're going to add some classes here. So we're going to add a margin at the top, flex and justify center. So it's going to be at the center. And we're going to add a button here, matte button. And this is going to be of the outline style. So and we're going to have a danger class here, which I have given in the styles as a button with a red color using the Angular material design red color in the theme. And then in the click event, we are going to give store.clear wishlist. Okay, let's close this up. And within this, we can write clear wishlist. Okay, and store.clear wishlist. So we need to go to our e-commerce store here and just create a simple method here called clear wishlist. This will be really simple. So it's going to just do add state store. It's going to do wishlist items. It's going to empty them out like this. Okay. So we have clear wishlist here. And this here is empty here, you can see. Now you also need to add the empty component here. So we add 3 products now to the wish list. We go in our wish list, and below that we have a clear wish list. Let's clear the wish list, and it clears everything up, and you can see everything remains in sync with the store here like that. Okay. So we need to add the empty as the last thing. So let's add that empty component. I'm not going to take much time there because it's just more of template markup. So I'm just going to create a new component here in your pages folder, because this is specific to the my wishlist page. It's not a shared component, so I'm not going to put it in the components folder where we keep our shared components. We're going to keep this in the pages, my wishlist, and within that we are going to say empty wishlist. So this is just to clean out, to keep our folder structure and our component clean. We're just gonna keep it separate here like this. So we are gonna do empty wishlist here like this. And then in this empty wishlist, we can import this from here. And then in this one, I'm just gonna copy paste the empty wishlist because I don't want to spend a lot of time creating markup for this. And I can just add matte button here, matte icon here. And this seems to be, this has simple div. This has an icon here, a big icon here with a favorite border, and your wishlist is empty. And then it has a button which actually takes you back to your products all page. And so we also need a router link here. So let's do router link, something like this. Great. So you can see we have your wishlist is empty in case your wishlist is empty, and you can go back to your wishlist here. But in case you add something to your wishlist, you don't have anything. You don't have that empty. And if you empty it out here like this, you're going to get this, your wishlist is empty again here. Okay. So our wishlist feature is finally complete, and you saw that how we can use the NGRX Signal Store to actually create this kind of experience where you can add toggle buttons on this page, and you can go to that page and you can remove the wishlist items, and you can continue shopping here, add more items, and then come back to this like this. Okay, so in the next part, then part 4, we are going to continue with this, and we're going to add our add to cart functionality, and that is going to include more use of the NGRX Signal Store. And we're also going to use directives. Finally, we're going to create a custom directive for our reusable panels that we're going to use in the add to cart page here. As you can see here in the add to cart page, we have some panels here like this. So these panels are going to be using directives, and of course anything that we need to use from the NGRX Signal Store. So there's a lot coming up in the add to cart functionality. Be sure to also get the code for this if you would like to check out the full code. It helps sustain the channel and bring you more high quality tutorials like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.